We had a bipartisan event. It was not a debate.
I also think that doesn't really matter.
Okay, look, why am I getting interrupted? We're all being respectful here. Thank you.
And you guys, I'm seeing people across the room.
Again, I didn't even finish my sentence.
I just wanted to point out that I have friends on the other side, and I know that even we have mutual friends who's an outspoken Republican, right? I'm so sorry I interrupted you as well, because I do want to be respectful of your voice as well, so I apologize. But this is so counterproductive.
You were laughing at our members while our members were speaking. We pointed it out multiple times, and you guys kept laughing and laughing and laughing at all of us.
I'm really sorry to anyone who had to experience that. I'm not on USC Dems. I'm just kind of here. But we have to consider the social context of where we exist and the fact that we're post-Zoom and a lot of us are chronically online. And we, at least I know, and I think a lot of people should know, algorithms intentionally make echo spaces that become more and more divisive because fundamentally, these people who create these algorithms don't care about us. They don't care about our feelings. They care about engagement. I get scared sometimes when I go to Republican spaces because I have the assumption that I'm going to be hated against because of, my skin tone or my sexuality or whatever. And obviously that may not be true. But on the same end, I feel like there's a lot of Republicans who come in looking at Democrats and people on the left in general as just, naive or woke, to use the words you guys said, which I don't feel is an accurate description of either side to look at someone and be immediately hateful, immediately naive. It does not produce what we're trying to do here, which is have a constructive conversation instead of, getting angry at each other, which I understand why you would get angry at each other. This is everything you guys have said is very fair in terms of anger. I'm very sorry if anyone has called you anything horrible. That sucks.
So I'm not in USC GOP or USC Dems. And I think that's terrible. I think that's horrible. And just to sympathize or empathize, coming back to Frank's original question, which is, are you scared on campus? I would say that it's completely valid to kind of question sharing your political feelings when the demographics of a college campus are generally those that are more liberal, especially having experienced something so directly cancel culture.
I'm not involved with either parties, and I'm actually a student journalist, and I would say personally and professionally, I see the polarization and the intolerance have a really negative effect on our campus and on our political discourse. People just don't want to talk politics. People don't want to talk about the news of the day. People don't want to comment on anything because they're worried one way or the other that what they're going to say is going to be judged fiercely by people. And it's causing this culture where people don't want to engage in public discourse. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to participate. And I think we can all agree that that is very harmful to our democracy. And one of my biggest issues with Republicans, not necessarily college students, but national Republicans, are the vicious attacks on the media, the labeling of fake news just because you disagree with something. I mean,
liar.
Liar. Yeah, exactly. Things of that nature that, journalism is also another hallmark of democracy. I know there's kids on campus who they feel they speak up and it's like walking on eggshells, and it's very intolerant. It's very anxiety inducing. And I think the characterization of fearful is accurate.
I actually do have a question for the Republicans. Hi. So I grew up in a conservative Latino community. I myself am not conservative. If cancel culture wasn't a thing, or if it wasn't as big of a problem as it is now, how open-minded would you say you would be to these new ideas that liberals, progressives, and the Democratic Party are, proposing?
I think the issue with with canceling that we have is that the Democrat, I'm going to generalize real quick, but the Democrat Party seems to be so objectively true on all these things, but the second anybody contests it, it's shot down. That's the opposite of what actual science actually is literally defined as being.
So I think this whole discourse is kind of interesting to me personally, because I grew up in Kansas, of all places. So for me, cancel culture has always been less of a partisan issue and more of kind of just an overall tolerance issue. I think that we can all be more tolerant of ideas generally, just because I have seen the flip side.
When you talk about tolerance, I think that's a really good point, because I think something we all hopefully can be able to acknowledge is that we all don't fit into confined boxes. In fact, I go and I sit down in my classes that which are kind of predominantly dominated by liberals, and I sit down and there are many ideas I agree with and I fully stand with. If I were to present that I do not agree with one idea, it almost comes down to that I do not agree with any of them. When the fact of the matter is this is more nuanced, and I think that is what is shutting people out, and it becomes this kind of villainization that if I were to not agree with the whole pie, I can't be a part of any of it.
This happened to me during COVID. I got canceled online. A petition was filed by my coworkers who I was friends with. I got blasted. I got sent messages by people I did not know on Instagram calling me a racist. Me, a racist. That's crazy. Sexist, homophobe, all these things. People who I don't even know. They don't even know me. My superiors told me about this petition because I wouldn't have known about it. And they laughed at it. I didn't get fired. But why try to ruin my life? Make my life a living hell? Why do that? Why try to cancel someone you don't even know? You jump on the bandwagon and you just try to ruin their life for no reason.
I wonder if everybody, all of us, should take pause. I see people do things on the internet. I deal with cyberbullying a lot. I've testified on Capitol Hill about it before, with kids losing their lives because they're cyberbullied and they take their own lives. You'll say things on a keyboard anonymously that you wouldn't say to somebody if you were standing next to them in an elevator, or you'd scream things in a car if somebody cuts you off that you wouldn't say to somebody in a line at the grocery store. When you do this stuff, it reflects on you more than it does the person that you're attacking. I wonder sometimes if we need to stop and think about really the impact of what we're doing on someone that we don't even know. In this room tonight, it seems like everybody's really being pretty respectful and considerate of other people, but it doesn't sound like it's always been that way. But when you look people in the eye, it changes the way we feel sometimes. And I don't think we have enough eye contact anymore. We don't regard each other in a human way enough.